Welcome, explorers, to this week's special edition of the Clicks to Riches show, where your decisions shape the journey. I'm Leah, your design guide. Now imagine this, you're at a crossroads, your creativity backpack slung over your shoulder, ready to embark on an exciting design quest. Ahead lies 3 intriguing paths, each one leading to a unique niche full of opportunities and challenges. Will you take the sunny route towards family vacations? Or perhaps your curiosity leads you down the charming path of books and charcuterie, savoring literary delights paired perfectly with gourmet grazing boards. Or does your passion bloom on the lush green trail of plants and gardening, nurturing nature right from your own backyard? The choice, dear viewers, is yours. But I'm not alone.
That's right, folks. Joining you all the way from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it's your POD pal, Talish, joining you today as your creative co-pilot. So today, I'm going to be helping you and Leah in the chat get some ideas so we can create a sellable design. Now, if you're joining us and you have some design experience or you don't have any design experience at all, let me tell you, as someone who's dabbled in design over the past few years, whether it's creating posters for events or posts for social media, and more recently, designing my own Shopify store, which you can see on our YouTube channel, I've learned one thing. Design is really hard, especially if you don't have a keen sense for these things, if you're not naturally artistically gifted, but there's ways around it. There's ways where you can learn a process, figure out the quick actions you can take step by step to eventually get the ball rolling to the result that you want to arrive to. Now, of course, design is a difficult process to observe and a difficult process to learn. And I'm not going to lie to you, today in the episode, we're going to be moving a little fast. We're going to go through some stuff. And if you feel like you have some questions, or maybe you want some more clarity about something that you saw, you don't know why we did it this way and not that way, drop it in the chat. Start it with questions so that we know, me and both the moderator, to flag it for you. And so that way, when we've done designing and we've all finished up, we can answer your questions and go back and really spend some more time in the places where you thought you needed a bit more of an explanation. So drop those questions in the chat as we go through. But of course, this would not be an episode of Clicks to Riches if we didn't give away any prizes. So Leah, what can our audience expect today?
Yes, we absolutely love giving away prizes here. So throughout today's show, have your Printify accounts out and ready because 3 of you will have 3 separate chances to win $15 in Printify store credit. And stay until the very end because 3 random winners will be selected to win our grand prize of $50 in store credit and a limited edition Clicks to Riches show t-shirt. But before we move on to our first giveaway, let's give a quick shout out to the chat. So I see a lot of engagement already. Welcome Bethany, hello Laura from York, Pennsylvania. We have Josh123 here. Hello, I see Kristers in the chat from Latvia. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. Now, we always like to start off hot, so we're gonna start right away with a giveaway. So, like I said, have your Printify accounts out and ready. From your Printify dashboard, you are going to find your wallet. Then you're going to navigate to the Rewards Center and find the Coupons tab. Here you will enter the code that I will show you in a moment. Now, if you do win, you will get $15 in Printify store credit added directly to your account. You're not gonna see big bells and whistles, but if you do win, let us know in the chat so we can all celebrate you and give you a shout out. Now, if you type in the code and you see in red letters that the coupon does not exist, that just means you did not win this time, you were not quite fast enough, but you're gonna have more chances to win. So have your fingers ready because the first coupon code is POD Explorers. Get that code into the coupon code section. Okay, let us know in the chat if you win so we can shout out. And while you're all doing that, we certainly have a very exciting adventure planned, but we've got to get to the first things first, news, the latest headlines in POD. Now, as we're going through the news stories here, let us and others know in the chat what news you've seen related to e-commerce or print on demand, or let us know as we're going through the stories how you think it'll impact your business, if it already has or if it doesn't. Now, the first story here, very exciting, all about ChatGPT, our favorite AI tool. OpenAI has rolled out a shopping feature. So shoppers, customers, everybody is gonna get a totally new online shopping experience. So what ChatGPT is going to do, they're going to offer personalized shopping recommendations directly in the chat, meaning you can ask for products and product recommendations. ChatGPT is gonna give you the different products, prices, reviews, images, and even links directly to that chat. So you're gonna see suggestions based on different user preferences and, more importantly, online reviews. Now, these product recommendations are also going to be organic based on these reviews and preferences. You're not gonna see much influence from paid ads yet. And rumor has it there's going to be a possible Shopify integration. So if you're selling on Shopify, keep an eye out for this because it can certainly streamline the checkout process. Now, it's being rolled out globally to all ChatGPT users, whether you're a free pro user or if you don't even have an account. And this is certainly a strategic move as it really positions ChatGPT as a rival to our traditional search engines like Google or even Amazon Marketplace. So what does this exactly mean for you as Printify sellers? Well, the way people are discovering products is totally shifting. You're gonna have to start optimizing your content search for AI specifically. So not just traditional SEO. You're still, of course, gonna wanna incorporate SEO elements, but you're gonna have to make it more conversational, make it more human-centered content so the AI can read this better. Now, this means you wanna use clear, natural language, really avoid that keyword stuffing. Your visuals are probably gonna become part of these outputs. So you always wanna use high quality visuals, we know this. But because ChatGPT is going to be spitting out images first thing, you really wanna focus on that. And more than ever, reviews matter. Again, genuine reviews will be collected by ChatGPT from the internet and it's gonna throw it out in its recommendations here. Good reviews will help boost your visibility. And last but not least, you have to be active on social media. Have a community presence. Again, ChatGPT is collecting all these online reviews, all this engagement. It's gonna boost your visibility in these AI-driven recommendations. Next up, we have some exciting new things from Etsy, from the Etsy Seller Handbook. Now, if you sell on Etsy and you are not regularly reading the Seller Handbook, I suggest you start doing that. They always have different trends, updates, news. So some things to look forward to this year. Now, we see a bunch of things on the screen. I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty here, but look forward to updates to the Etsy Seller app. You're gonna see enhanced photo tools for faster uploads, easier editing, and even custom photo filters. You're gonna see real-time listing quality feedback. Now, this is kind of a big one. Right now, it's in beta, so it's not available to everybody, but what it does, it's going to provide immediate alerts to your listing if there are any issues, problems, before you even publish it, so you can catch it faster. You're gonna see a streamlined shop manager, faster loading speeds, and this is also a big one, direct support access right within your shop manager. No more going to a different window for that. So that's a nice update from Etsy. Next up, we have our favorite generation, Gen Z. Shopify wrote a nice article about their purchasing behaviors so we can understand better how to sell to Gen Z. They were born in the digital age. We know they are a very tech-savvy generation. They're getting older, they're getting real big people jobs now, and they have more disposable income. They make up 25% of the global population, making them an absolutely crucial demographic to e-commerce businesses. So what are they looking for? How can you get them to come to your brand? Well, they want brands that align with their ethical values, with sustainable practices. We did a really nice show about sustainability and how you can incorporate that into your shop. Go check that out. It's a really good value prop to have because print on demand is sustainable. We, of course, know that Gen Z uses social media. They're very active. They use it as a research tool. Again, they're using it for product recommendations. They're looking for influencers that use these products. So get active on social media, use the power of influencers. And of course, they expect a more personalized experience. Now, I'm not talking just about personalized products, but they want tailored messaging and personalized interactions, whether that's through email marketing or on social media. They want them tailored to their preferences and their behaviors. And last but not least, they of course prefer authenticity. They're more likely to engage with brands that are transparent about their values and their genuine stories. That's all we have for the news, so now we can get into trending Printify products. Now, these aren't going to be your typical bestsellers, t-shirts, hoodies, things like that, but kind of some outliers that we've been seeing growing these past few weeks. So we've got comfort colors and accent coffee mugs. Now, these are the two big ones I want to point out. Comfort colors the past year or so have really exploded in growth, and right now they're actually outperforming our two typical bestsellers, the Bella Canvas 3001 and the Gildan 5000. So if you sell comfort colors, I'm curious, let us know in the chat why you chose comfort colors over Bella Canvas over Gildan. The other one, the accent coffee mug specifically, we are seeing a springtime surge of these colorful mugs. Now, I'm not really surprised because mugs in general, they are a super easy thing to gift. They're very easy to personalize. They really fit with any niche, and they're just a practical gift. You know, Mother's Day is coming up, Father's Day, graduation, very practical. We also see hardcover journals on the list, a garden and house banners, woven blankets, hand towels, indoor wall tapestries, and desk mats. People are still looking to personalize their home offices. We have some other things to keep an eye on. So the warm weather, the winter is finally gone. People are out and about, they are enjoying themselves, catching some sunshine, and that means they need stuff. Think things like tank tops, t-shirts, travel mugs, tote bags, hats, even lunch boxes. We have Brothers' Day coming up on May 24th. Now, this is the first I've actually heard of this, but if you're in the family niche or selling personalized products, go ahead and give a shout out to all the brothers out there. And June 4th is National Hug Your Cat Day. Now, I'm for all these kind of hyper-specific niches, but I think you should be hugging your cat every day. Now, again, these are very specific holidays. You may not be selling in these niches. Even if you're not, they're perfect little shout outs for social media just to get maybe new followers or get other people engaged with your brand. Moving on, we have some trends from our friends over at eRank. Now, what's trending? Mom, obviously. Mother's Day is just around the corner, so if you haven't already started doing anything for Mother's Day, it's going to be too late. We also have wall art, t-shirt, grandma gift, Father's Day, and marathon. Now, this one kind of made me a bit curious. I want to know why this started trending. Do we have any marathon runners? Let us know in the chat, or if you're in the running niche. I'm guessing running clubs have gotten kind of popular. They're good group gifts, and of course, the warm weather, people are getting outside to run. And next, a nice plug for Ask Me Anything sessions. Now, this isn't with me, this is with my co-host, Martin, but he does live weekly Q&A sessions that are free every Monday and Wednesday on Printify Sellers Club. So you can go to these calls, he'll answer any questions you have related to POD, whether that's selling, design, platforms, anything you want. So it's free to join these Q&As. But if you enter the code LAUNCHPAD2025, you will actually get a free month of Printify Sellers Club, and you'll get all access to webinars, other mentors, live streams, courses, and a whole community. So definitely go check those out. And of course, we have to let you know what is new for you as a Printify seller. So first things first, Printify Choice Global Fulfillment. We are simplifying the international selling experience. So if you're already selling internationally, Check this out for streamlined fulfillment. If you've been toying with the idea of selling internationally, this is your sign to start. Currently, it is only available for Shopify and Etsy merchants, but of course, we will be expanding this. Now, in a nutshell, what is this? You will be able to create a single listing that automatically adjusts to your customer's region. So it's really going to streamline your global sales fulfillment. Now, you should note though that only a few products are currently eligible for this. We will be adding more. Right now, we're including bestsellers like Bella Canvas 3001, Gildan 5000, and some sweatshirts and hoodies. And be mindful of the product variations. Right now, only specific colors and size variants are eligible. If you include a size or a color that's not available just yet, you won't be able to use this feature, but we will be expanding it. Next up, we do have to address tariffs again. They're still a thing. We still need to kind of worry about them, but we have recently released a video that explains how you can protect your profit margins from all this tariff chaos. Go ahead and check out that video. We will drop it in the link. And lastly, this is my favorite little update. You can now create simple shapes right within our product creator. So you can create simple graphics or maybe even a simple logo if you're just starting out. You can add these customizable shapes right in the Printify product creator. We've got hearts and stars and triangles and rectangles, and you can resize them, you can combine them, you can rotate them and recolor them so they fit your aesthetic perfectly. Okay, now we have to really get into the meat and potatoes of today's show because this is where the fun starts. So, you are going to choose your own design adventure. You're gonna help me and Talish. Now, I have to say, I'm no designer, okay? To be honest, I'm probably on par with most of you watching. That's why I prefer very friendly design platforms like Adobe Express, Canva, Kittl. So I'll be using Canva today to kind of create a small collection with your guidance. So we're gonna create something like this, and we're gonna create 3 different types of designs. One for a DTG product, one for an all-over print product, and we're gonna create a design for an embroidery product to have a nice, cohesive collection, okay? And to help me out, we're gonna have Talish as well. He's actually going to be collecting some suggestions from you in the chat, and he's also going to provide you with some additional tips and just kind of help us out here. Now, before we get to that, I've already pre-selected kind of 3 broader niches for you to choose from. So these are niches that I've seen growing in popularity. They're all over Etsy, other places, but they're quite broad. So my first question to you and your first task is, which niche do you want to design for? You'll see a poll in the chat, so go ahead and answer. Do we want to go with group family vacations, reading, or nature today? Now, while you're voting, Talish, I have a question for you. Are there any niches that have caught your eye lately?
Well, you know what, Leah, you put it excellently. Broad niches are always a thing. They're always successful because they're a great place to start. So yeah, I have seen a few trends just bubbling and boobling on Etsy and everywhere online. But my first 2 niches that I've noticed have to do with your broad niches. So the first one, for example, is holidays. Holidays are a great place to start if you're just learning to design or create products to sell online. It's just the easiest way to get your foot in the door. But one holiday that is coming up is the 4th of July. Now, I know what you're thinking, 4th of July, there's no watch on my wrist. Why should I start planning for it 2 months in advance? Well, here's the deal, all right? It's gonna take you time to come up with your design, list that design, but more importantly, once it is listed and published, it's gonna take time for the sales channel that you're selling on to pick it up and rank it in search results. So if you think about, all right, I'm gonna start shopping for 4th of July stuff in early June. Well, in early June, when I type in 4th of July products, your product better show up in those search results. Otherwise, the thing that's gonna show up the most are the most popular products that are there already. So these sellers that are publishing these 4th of July listings right now are doing something smart. They're getting their foot in the door before shopping season comes around the corner. Now, the other broad niche that I encountered recently, into a much more specific sub niche, I should say, is traveling. So I went on a trip to Mexico recently. I was in Playa del Carmen. Let me know in the chat if you've been. But you know, when you go on vacations and you see people wearing travel t-shirts or apparel, usually there's a family with one pink colored t-shirt so they can pick each other out from the crowd. I see that all the time, but one thing that I saw was a lot of solo tourists, people who are traveling by themselves, wearing destination specific t-shirts. Now they might have picked it up there, but it seemed like they planned this. They brought these shirts with them. And I kept thinking out for the life of me, why? I mean, on some level it feels a little cringe, right? To be wearing like t-shirts about a city that you're just visiting, that you're not even from, before you even get there. But what I realized was, hey, if you're traveling solo, you know, the easiest way to start conversations with somebody is by, you know, giving them a compliment about their wearing. You know, you're in a bar, you go, hey, I like that shirt. I like those jeans. And so if you're in a place where you're trying to make friends for the first time, having an interesting shirt that you can use to start a conversation with is a great purchase. It also makes your life a lot easier when you're traveling as well. So really good ideas about how to take something from a broad niche to something that's even more specific. Something that's been bubbling as well, that's a bit kind of off the beaten path in terms of niches, is sort of a design related niche that I see come up every time in the summer. It's more like food related designs. So you'll see like, and usually it's foods that you can walk around with. So pizzas, hot dogs, burgers, funny nostalgic designs about that. But you'll also see a lot of fruit. So watermelons, strawberries. And I see this start to bubble up at the beginning of summer. But one thing that I noticed was actually citrus fruit actions. Are citrus a fruit? I don't even know. Let me know in the chat. But I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, I read about this. I knew that this was going to be a thing. And I remembered that I actually saw it in Etsy's winter trend report that they put out in December to let people know what's going to be hot in the coming year. And when I read that, I remember very clearly, I was like, citrus accents, that's really weird. That'll probably do, you know, well in home decor, but never in apparel. Lo and behold, I'm on Etsy the other day. I see lots of lemon prints, lemon patterns on shirts and dresses. And yeah, so just goes to show, if you're ever grasping for straws, trying to come up with an idea, trend reports are a great place to come up with them and to check for ideas. But let's check in on our poll to see how we're doing. So, Leah, I'm seeing right now on my end, I don't know if you're seeing these numbers, but I'm seeing that group and family vacations got the highest vote of 42%. Reading and nature followed after that. So, you know what? I think people like my vacation story. Let's see what we can do with vacations.
Well, I certainly loved your vacation story. I did see the results, so the audience has spoken. So we're gonna go into Canva here, but before we do that real quick, now, as I mentioned, these are very broad niches. We can't just target group and family vacations. So as we're going, I want you to think about now in the chat, you can just type it, kind of like a word association game. What are the first things that come to mind when you think of group vacations or family vacations? So I've already kind of came up with a little bit of a list. I think of cruises. I think of resorts and beaches. I think of camping and road trips and RVs. So even destination weddings came to mind. So I've kind of narrowed it down already a little bit, and we're gonna go with kind of a camping bachelorette style. Now I know weddings is a whole nother niche, but sub-niching down to camping, this sub-niche of vacation, and cross-niching it with another thing can really help you get a specific target audience. So we're gonna go with a kind of camping bachelorette theme, and you're gonna help me design a collection for that. So now in Canva here, I'll show you the products we're creating. We're gonna start with a DTG design or just a simple tank top. I chose a tank top because summer's coming up and it's kind of perfect for a summer camping trip. Now, how this is going to work, you are going to help me create a design for this product. And I've kind of given you a design bank here in Canva, and you're gonna help me choose and put together some of these elements. So I've chosen one element that I kind of like, these mountains, and I want you to help me build around this, okay? So as you're kind of putting your suggestions in the chat of which elements, Talish, what do you think about this? What do you think I should add?
Yeah, I'm looking at your elements right now, Leah, and I gotta say, there's a lot to choose from here. What stands out to you? I gotta say, I actually can't see right now. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm seeing the wine glasses And the backpack looks pretty good to me. That's pretty standard. Mountains, I see a lot of those. Might be something fun to start with.
And so we're looking in the chat. We want your suggestions as well. I see people saying, tents and wine glasses, kind of like you said, Talish.
Exactly.
All right, let's get I think these are technically champagne glasses. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just collecting our elements. I'm gonna put it on our Canva here, canvas. And I think I saw someone said boots. We can throw those in there. And let's get one more. Laura Dienzo says, I like the arrow signs for multiple destinations. I like that too. So let's throw that in there. I think that was this one. Okay. Okay.
Definitely. If I could just say also, these visual elements are a great place to start. But when you're looking for ideas, you might be the kind of person, which Leah has done here, where you can arrange a bunch of visual elements on screen and kind of arrange them like a puzzle until your design starts to, come out and take shape. You might be a color person. Where you might go, okay, I want to design something with this color first. You might be a text person, where you might think of a text design first and then build your visual identity around that. The point is, there's lots of ways to start here. But you know what, Leah, I'm seeing you playing with this, but I want to tell our audience too, let's give Leah some text suggestions as well, things that she can put in to make this design really pop. And you can see what she's doing. It's like she's feeling it out. Where does this element go? Where does that element go? Drop it in the chat. If you have some text that we can put in. Let's see, I'm going to try to think of some on the spot with camping and vacations. How about mountains and margs? Martins and margaritas. I see the mountains and the wine glasses you got in there. Trails and veils, if you're doing some kind of a bachelorette theme. I see Laura C says beaches, road trips, camping, horseback riding. I think she's talking about the elements that you could add here. But yeah, anything stick out to you, Leah?
Well, mountains and margs, we already had that in our example that I showed earlier, so we're gonna go with something else. Let's see here. Making great adventures, Great British Rail Adventure, that could be a good one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, let's go ahead with that. So I'm just gonna type in the text here. Making great adventures. You could, if you wanted to go for like kind of alliteration, maybe making great memories in the mountains, you could play with like that. Catherine also said the trail before the veil. That's a good one. Champagne adventures. We got lots of different ideas. So we'll just play with making great adventures. And so like Talish said, I'm kind of just playing around. You really have to experiment until you find something that works. And now I like the mountains, but I'm actually going to make them a little bit smaller here. We'll center it. And I'm going to make the sign a little bit bigger because we can kind of put some cute hiking boots here. We can actually use this sign as a good point too. I would maybe even take some text and put it right here. Now, of course, we want to kind of stylize our text a little bit. Let's change our font here. Let's find something. Now, again, there are hundreds of text options here in Canva. I literally just play around with different options until I see something that I like, something that fits the aesthetic. Now, of course, you'd want to look at Etsy maybe if you have something very specific, kind of what styles are trending here. Let's find something. Now, I kind of like the serifs here, but I almost want it to be a little bit more bold so it can be readable. What is this one? Maybe that one's too much. Okay, maybe I should just choose one here. Well, let's go with this one. We can make it bigger. Okay, now my champagne glasses went rogue. So it's coming together. The text really does put it together. I think, as Talish mentioned, sometimes a design will sell itself, but with Canva, some of these might be a little bit simple or generic. A text, especially personalized text, can really make it stand out. So I would probably even curve this text a little bit. Yeah, because then it kind of curves around those mountains. It fits that shape nicely. And we can make everything a little bit bigger here. Like so. And kind of put it to the top, center it. Now our champagne glasses, maybe, I was almost thinking they could be like a moon or stars in the mountains, but I'm not really feeling it. Maybe we'll put them by our boots for now. Now, we're gonna copy our text. We're gonna add some more text. And let's actually uncurve this. I mentioned personalization. This is really what's gonna make it stand out, especially if we're going for something like a bachelorette party. So we might even tailor this to whoever is having their bachelorette. Maybe it's, I don't know, Jenna. We'll say Jenna's batch party. And don't be afraid to use different types of fonts. Now, you don't want to go too crazy and have 3, 4, 5 different types of fonts, but 1 or 2 is definitely okay. Now, especially if we want to highlight the personalization aspect of this, I might go and change the font here a little bit. Let's take a look at what we have. Maybe something a bit bolder. Might be too bold. Or something more round. Now, this is a very natural part of the design process. You'll see that I'm kind of thinking out loud, and that's something that you should do too. You know, just help yourself. This one's kind of okay. I like this one. I like the bold. It's kind of whimsical a little bit. So we'll have a curved top, and then at the bottom we can emphasize, we can make it personalized. So I'm still gonna move some things around here a bit. I'm still struggling where to put the champagne glasses. Maybe if you have some suggestions, let me know in the chat where to put the champagne glasses. Okay, now, while I'm kind of thinking about that, another thing that I kind of wanna do, let's get this a little bit closer. We could even have, yeah. Now, the signs. I really like that somebody chose this element because we can actually add text to the signs. I think this will make it extra unique, really fun. Now, I'll probably use, let's go ahead and use this font again. Again, we don't want to have too many different types of fonts, so we'll turn the curve off here. And we can make it kind of funny. You know, we have mountains. Somebody said these are destination signs. So maybe we put mountains in one, and we'll rotate it to kind of fit into the sign. Oops. Make sure that it's readable. Right now it's kind of hard to see. There we go. And so we can have fun with things like this. I'm going to duplicate it, and maybe, let's say, champagne is back at the campsite. So we're gonna put it in the opposite arrow direction. And we cannot see our text, so of course we'll wanna change our color. We'll just make it white for now. Oops. There we go. Okay, so back at camp, after a long hike in the mountains, you're of course gonna wanna go for champagne at this bachelorette. And so maybe with that, now that I know champagne is in that direction, you know, maybe I make a cute little accent of the champagne bottles down here, or the champagne glasses down by the sign, rotate it, have some fun. And let's go ahead and fill in that third sign. I'll duplicate again. And I said making great memories earlier, so I'm just gonna throw it in there also. Okay, maybe we make these a bit smaller. I kind of like this. I think this is fun. You know, you could take this personalization one step further even, kind of like our original example. Let's duplicate this. If we want to offer a specific location, you know, if we know this bachelorette party, if they order these custom t-shirts and they say, we're going to the Rocky Mountains, maybe you want to say Jenna's batch party, and you can say Rocky Mountains, and maybe even put the year. So customization or personalization can really be taken to multiple levels here. And this really gives us kind of a full design, okay? Maybe I'd move this up a little bit more. Okay, now I kind of like where this is headed. I think we'll stop with this for now. Of course, I want to hear your feedback in the chat, but we're gonna move on a little bit. We're gonna start talking about color now, okay? So when it comes to color, we have black and white here, which is totally fine. Black and white are the most popular colors. They're very adaptable to different product colors. So this kind of works. But as we know, colors can kind of really change a product, especially if you're going on into patterns or all over print products. It can make your products pop. So Talish, you've actually done quite a bit of research, a few videos about colors. So I'm gonna ask you to share some tips, but real quick before you do that, we have another poll for you. I have kind of pre-selected 3 color schemes that I want you to vote for our seamless pattern. So we'll see that in the chat. Which color scheme should we select, A, B, or C? And while you're voting now, Talish, we would love to hear your tips on color.
Definitely. The reason that we have a color section here is because I want to share this interesting fact with you that you might not know. I study color trends every year, especially when it comes to t-shirt colors that sell the most. And I try to rank them, 1 to 5, which were the top 5 selling colors. I think maybe this year is going to be a good year for red. Maybe another year is going to be a good year for banana cream. But in that top 5 ranking, no matter what year it is, there is always the first spot and the second spot are always the same colors, meaning the number 1 and the number 2 top selling colors are always the same, and those are black and white. Black and white t-shirts outsell every other color t-shirt consistently every single year. And the reason that is actually, first of all, if you think about it, with simple colored shirts like black and white, it really just goes to show what Leah was saying earlier. Sometimes your design can do the job. Sometimes your design is so good that the color of the product is an afterthought, which is a good way to think about designing, that sometimes, it can do the work itself. The second thing is black and white are contrasting colors, even with each other. If you put white on black or black on white, your design will pop. And this is a good way to think about designing, because when you're creating your design, you want to have contrasting colors. You want to have a design that's going to pop. And sometimes it's hard to tell. You go with your gut, you think, oh, does this shade of blue work with this other shade of blue? I don't know. Maybe it does. Here's the thing. If you're using the same shades of colors, it's not going to work well with each other. So there is a good way to test whether or not you're using the right contrasting colors. Instead of memorizing different color combinations, what you can do on Canva is find the filters section on Canva. I think it's if you click edit, then it goes to edit image, it'll open up a filter section. And on that filter section, you'll see an option for grayscale or street style. Now, if you click that option, what's going to happen is it's going to switch your entire image over to black and white and gray. And a designer taught me this. If you're worried about if your colors are not contrasting enough, look at your design in grayscale and see if it pops. If the grays are blending a little too much with each other in the different components of your design, odds are your colors just aren't well suited to each other. They don't contrast each other enough. So keep that in mind. Contrasting colors, the color of your products, how that plays into your design. And like I said, black and white always works, so you can't go wrong. But, experiment with different color combinations. There's a reason why the 3rd or 4th place every year is what we're attracted to when it comes to those top 5 colors. I know black and white are going to be number 2, but 3 and 4, that's what I'm on the lookout for. Is this a good year for blue, yellow, green? You get the point. In the meantime, let's check into our poll, Leah, to see who or which color template people have selected. And it looks like they're really into option C. And before I hand it back to you, I want to shout out a few people in the chat who have been following your designs very closely. Catherine, thank you for the arch the text comment with, you can tell what Leah was thinking before she did that. Dano X had the really nice idea of putting the text and the signs. Like I said, Leah found her way to those eventually, but it just goes to show you, good job. Your mind is in the right place. Sailor said, put the last name and the year for personalization. Lots of great advice coming in through the chat. Make sure you keep that coming. But option C, Leah, what are you going to do with that?
All right, so we are now going to create a seamless pattern. We're gonna throw in the color scheme that you chose. Real quick, I do wanna show, Talish mentioned that grayscale filter. So he mentioned in edit, if you click on an element, for example, you can click edit here, and you'll see all the options for different filters. That's where you can find that. Okay, I also saw a suggestion from Eric, I believe, to add in a campfire. I really like that idea. It was a little blank here, so I threw that in. Now, to the fun part. So we're gonna create a seamless pattern for a pair of all over print socks, okay? AOP, you're meant to have fun with these products. You can print the design on the entire product, not just a select print area. So what I'm going to do, first things first, you guys voted for C. I'm just gonna copy and paste this right here on a blank canvas, just so we can grab our colors a bit easier later. But we're gonna focus on the seamless part now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of the elements from our t-shirt design up here. So remember, we're building a collection. We want it to be cohesive with the color scheme, with the elements, with the fonts. So let's just go ahead, let's take this campfire first as our main element. I'll simply copy it and paste it right here. And I will make it a little bit bigger so we can see better, okay? Now, when I'm searching for elements on Canva, I make sure that they are editable, that they're vectors, and that I can change the color, okay? So now I'm gonna change the color of this first, and I'm simply going to take the eyedropper tool up here, and we're gonna choose a color from our color scheme. Now it's a campfire, let's make this one orange, okay? Now, to make a seamless pattern, what you're going to do, you're gonna take your elements and you're gonna drag them all the way over to the edge, okay? You drag it over to about 50%, and you'll know that it's at halfway through when you see this kind of purple line pop up. I hope you guys can see it, but when I take it away, you don't. But now you see there's kind of a purple line on the edge. This is telling you that it's exactly split 50-50 this element, okay? Now, you're gonna take this same element, you're gonna duplicate it, and you're gonna drag it over to the other edge, okay? And you're gonna follow the same idea. You're gonna drag it over until it's about 50-50. You see that that purple line has popped up, that vertical line, and you also see that there are 2 dashed horizontal lines. This means that this pasted element is exactly perfectly aligned with that first campfire. And this is what we want, right? When we're making a seamless pattern, for example, that we can use with the pattern tool in the product creator, we want our element edges to line up perfectly. You don't want there to be any kind of weird mismatches or uneven edges or weird spaces, okay? Now, a little trick, if you're having a hard time getting it aligned perfectly, it's a little off like this, you can actually select both elements at the same time. You can right click and you'll see this option for align elements. And if you click middle, you'll see that it automatically aligned it, okay? So now I'm actually going to lock these just so I don't accidentally move them around later, okay? So let's take some more elements. We already have a campfire from our t-shirt design. Let's choose a couple more random ones from our design bank. Let us know in the chat what you want me to throw in this pattern. For now, I still really do like the hiking boots. Let's go ahead and drag those in as well. Okay. And I'm just going to do the same thing. You know, you can rotate them a little bit, resize them. I will choose a color for those. And again, I'm gonna find my eyedropper tool, and we can make these this cute like turquoise. Okay, so we're gonna still work on the seamless part here. The same concept applies if you wanna do it at the tops and bottoms of your design. So let's put it up to the top here, and I'm gonna move it until it's exactly cut halfway. And you'll see that a solid purple line popped up at the top of my template. Right? We're gonna copy and paste it and do the same exact thing at the bottom here until it's 50-50. And you see that solid purple line popped up right there. And we wanna align it perfectly with our boots at the top. So you see those dashed vertical lines popped up, it means that it's perfectly aligned. When the edges align, you're not gonna have anything cut off, okay? So we can keep kind of just repeating this until we have a full pattern, okay? Now, you don't really want too many negative spaces. It's of course dependent on the aesthetic that you're going for. But again, patterns are meant to be fun. Let's fill this up. So I might even take those little champagne glasses. And what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to resize, rotate. I'm just gonna make a few copies of these and put them in random places. We're gonna have fun with them. We can have different sizes, really fill up these blank areas. Maybe we can rotate it this way a little bit here. Now, for all these extra elements, make sure that if you have any elements in your pattern here, if they are touching the edges, make sure that they're 50-50 and you have a corresponding mirroring element at the other side. Otherwise, you're gonna have a weird misaligned pattern or something will be cut off, okay? So we can spread these. We can change the colors of these, of course. I'll take my eyedropper tool again, and we can make our champagne glasses. We can actually change the colors at the same time if we select a couple. And they don't all have to be the same color. We can make some kind of that darker yellow. Maybe we even make one a nice pink. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep grabbing some elements. I'm actually gonna check the chat real quick. I wanna see what elements you want me to add in here. Okay. Okay, I'll just keep adding here. So maybe we'll take this engagement ring. It is a bachelorette party, of course, right? And I'll do the same thing that I did with the champagne glasses. I'm just gonna make a bunch of copies, rotate it a little bit, fill in these blank spaces. Maybe we put one this way. We can make it a bigger one. Maybe you wanna put in some hearts. I like hearts. It's very appropriate for bachelorette. Maybe we even make another kind of pattern like this. Again, we're making sure it's 50-50. And let's put our color palette out of the way here. Okay. So sometimes you really have to play around with it to find those lines, but we can see right now that they're not aligned. So we're just gonna align them again, just like that. And while we're at it, I will change the color of the hearts. We can make the hearts, how about this pink? Okay. And we can add a couple more hearts, just scattered throughout. We can rotate them, make them bigger, smaller. So this is kind of my design process we're of course not going to want our color palette there in the design. Maybe we can put another ring somewhere. Oh, something like this. Okay. I think it's looking pretty cute so far. I really like it. Let me know your suggestions. I might go a bit further and fill out kind of some more of these blank spaces, but for time's sake, we're gonna move on. Now, we want to double check that this pattern is in fact seamless. So how can we do that? We have to download this design first, okay? We're gonna test it. So we're gonna simply download it and we'll do only this page and we'll give it a transparent background. Now I'm giving it a transparent background here so that when I bring it into the Printify product creator, I can make the background color of the actual product any color that I want and it won't really affect it too much. Okay, so we will download it and I'm gonna create a new page here. And once you've, whoops, let's go back here. Okay, we will drag it in here. And this is where we're putting our pattern to the test. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to copy paste my design here and we're simply going to put the edges together just like this. So we see that our campfire and our heart actually matches up to be a seamless pattern, okay? So we're testing both edges, okay? it works this way. We want to test the top and bottom, of course. Are our hiking boots going to align? Okay. And we see that they do. So this is something that you definitely want to do before uploading, just so you can make any changes before it gets kind of published or anything like that. You can simply make 4 copies of this and test them all at once by bringing them into the corners. And you see that nothing is really misaligned. So if my fire, for example, if it were something like this, we know something is off with that original pattern. Here, we might have to move something and adjust it. Okay. So as you can see, creating a seamless pattern actually isn't very scary. It's quite simple. Now, finding the actual elements and pieces that you want to add to it, that might take some time, but definitely get playing around with this. I had a lot of fun learning how to do this, and I think you will also. Let's move on now to our final design. We are going to create a design for an embroidered hat. So camping, mountains, hiking, sun, I think of hats. That's why I chose this. Embroidery, it's a premium product. You know you can charge more. And these designs are actually quite simple to make. So while I show you to do that, Talish first actually has a product he wants to show you.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I also happen to have an embroidered hat on hand. Little show and tell moment. I went to a print facility here in Toronto to get this amazing hat printed. You can see, hopefully you can see that there. Just the quality, how it stands out, the texture. Ooh, I want to try to do this right. There you go. And I don't know about you, but if you grew up with a sewing machine in the corner that your mom used to use to repair your clothes like I did when I was growing up, seeing an embroidery machine in action is just next level. The way that they create this design, it almost feels like when you saw a self-driving car. It's like cool but spooky. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But Leah's right. Embroidery products sell really well online, and it's for this reason. They look great, they feel great, you can see the texture. This really pops. And if you were to do embroidery by hand, a lot of people are really good at it. I tried doing some embroidery by hand, and this is what I came up with. So I don't know if you can see that. That's my hand stitch embroidery. I know, applause all over the world. All I'm saying is let the robot do it, because we've actually made embroidery a lot easier to manage. Our digitization time is less than 24 hours. We're actually introducing pre-digitized fonts now. So if you create text-based designs with embroidery, which means you're not creating logos like this, you're just doing text. Now you don't even have to wait that 24 hours. They're pre-digitized, you create your design, you list it, you sell it, it's all good to go. Now, the only thing that you do have to consider when you are creating embroidery designs are sort of the guidelines around them, and here's why. Unlike ink, you're dealing with physical stitches going into a physical product. Now with Printify, you can choose up to 15 thread colors to choose from. But for a lot of people who are used to designing on print, it might be a little bit difficult to create embroidery designs because you just don't have that many options available for you in terms of colors. You can't grade them. But at the same time, they look great, they feel great. So if you've got a design that you're thinking, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work well with embroidery, it's a bit complex, take it a step back, reduce it, right? Keep the colors to 1 to 3 thread colors just to start. You know, that's always a safe spot to be in when you're creating embroidery products. But also, those designs, the more that you get used to them, the easier it's going to be to create those guidelines, I should say. The more that you get used to them, the thickness of how lines are supposed to be, the colors that you can use, the size of your embroidered design, it'll be easier to do later on. But don't let that hold you back from actually putting these products in your catalog. Start simple, you know, start somewhere, because the fact of the matter is you can get a way larger return in terms of your profit margin on these items than you do compared to others. So leaving this off your catalog is actually going to do more harm than good. So try it out for yourself, you know, build that skill. Just like this design process, it takes time. But in the meantime, Leah, how's that design looking?
Yes, while you were giving some amazing tips, I actually kind of played around with the design here a little bit, and I'll explain to you what I did here. So the main takeaway from Talish's ideas were keep it simple. Again, embroidery is a bit more complex than a printer. It's using physical thread. You're gonna be a little bit more limited with your color options. So while we do have a specific color scheme from our AOP design, you're gonna wanna know what colors are actually available thread-wise. We have 15 different colors, and this chart you can find in our Help Center. We'll share a link in the chat, but I have it here as reference for our design here. So, like Talish said, keep it simple. That's what I did. I took elements from our other two designs to keep the cohesive collection, and I used the same text style. When you're putting text on an embroidery product, you want to make sure that the font is very readable. You want to avoid anything that's too thin. So in our t-shirt design, let me scroll up quickly. We kind of had these little serifs coming off the text here. It might be too thin and not look as nice for embroidery, so I decided to go with this kind of bolder text. And you know, maybe we don't say Jenna's hat. I don't know if I would wear a hat that has someone's name. Maybe you say something like maid of honor or bridesmaid. So of course it's customizable. They can choose what they want. And I also took a mountain element. So we had a mountain design in our original t-shirt, but again, it's a very kind of detailed and intricate design. It might not come out on embroidery as you expect. So I found a more simplified version from our design bank here, just to add it here, and you can have a little bit more fun. I added a little heart just to denote the love of the season, wedding, bridesmaids. We can add that in there. But again, if you're choosing little elements like this, make sure it's not too thin. I kind of like it without the heart like this. I'll let you guys decide in the chat which you like better, with or without the heart. But yeah, embroidery really is that simple. Simple is better, and that's the key takeaway here. So we have one final poll for you here in the chat. I want to know which design was your favorite today. Did you like the DTG design that we made? Where'd it go? Here we go. Did you like the AOP pattern that we made, seamless pattern? Or do you prefer kind of simple and clean like this embroidered hat that we made? So let us know in the chat. And while you are doing that, I think it is time for a second coupon code giveaway. How do we feel about that? After you've answered our poll, I would like you to get your Printify accounts out and ready again. Okay. So, your chance to win $15 of Printify sales credit. Second chance, you can win more than once. And actually, I forgot to look. Did we have any winners from our first coupon code? You guys deserve a shout out. Let me check here. Aha, we do have a winner. Shout out to My Adventure Bucket. You won the first coupon code. Congratulations. Okay, I've teased the second giveaway enough. Let's get to it. So, in the wallet section, find the reward center. The coupon section is where you can enter this code. Niche, niche. Now, we talked about the importance of niching down. It's great to get into a broad niche, but be sure to bring it down even more to a specific audience. Niche, niche. If you see that the code does not exist, unfortunately, that means you did not win. You did not type fast enough, but we will still have more chances to win. And let us know in the chat if you won. All right, with that, I think we probably have a lot of questions. Talish, how are the questions in the chat looking?
Honestly, Leah, there's a lot happening in the chat, but what I'm seeing everybody can't get enough of is your AOP seamless pattern design. Birya Barber said that blew my mind. Catherine said this seamless pattern that you actually created would look great on a blanket. Somebody actually, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Chocobo Scribe said, when you have negative space in a design, sometimes they like to use that to actually create interesting shapes to fill that up. So I think most of our questions are going to be about seamless design. And I guess one question that I think I'm getting the sense of is, what are some issues that you run in when you create seamless patterns like that? Because you made it look really easy, but it took you some time to come up with that, or at least to practice that. What were some issues that you encountered that you can tell people, if you want to get this right the first time, here's how you should do it?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing, don't expect to get it right the first time. You're always going to make mistakes along the way. I mean, I even made mistakes here. But I think the main thing to consider is that it can feel nitpicky because you have to be very precise, right? You want those edges to align perfectly so it's not weird cut off designs or your elements aren't overlapping somehow, especially when you are using the pattern tool. You want them to align to look nicely. If you have weird gaps, people are gonna see it in your design. And again, the pattern tool is perfect for these larger items, like someone mentioned, blankets or even AOP dresses have a bigger print area. So for that, you don't want any gaps in your pattern, especially if you download a seamless pattern that has a background color already, it's not a transparent design. If you use that pattern tool and there's weird gaps, you space them out, you're gonna have big old white lines where that color block is. That's also why I prefer downloading my patterns as transparent designs and then changing the color of the actual product in the product creator. Yeah, so I would say the hardest thing for sure is kind of just getting used to it and aligning them perfectly, those elements, so they truly do mirror each other. And the same concept applies to, I showed in Canva, but if you use Adobe Express or Kindle, the same idea would apply.
Definitely. I think we have time for one more question. So here's one from Ernest who asks, is it better to niche down or have a broad niche?
Well, that is a very good question. And we always say niche down for a reason, because especially if you're a beginner, it's going to be easier for you to focus and really target on one specific audience. Get to know what they like, what they're looking for, and then once you've kind of mastered that, you can move on to expanding. Now, as we mentioned earlier, it's great to start broad, like these niches of family vacations or nature, reading. It's great to start broad because there are tons of people out there looking for these products. But there are people also looking for very specific products within these niches. That's why you want to niche down, okay? If you're looking to target just family vacations, as we saw earlier, you can go cruises or beaches or camping. You're gonna be spreading yourself too thin too fast. So start niche and slowly work your way up. And that was the last question, I believe. We are running out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. I had a lot of fun. Okay, so we're gonna do one more giveaway because I promised you that we would. Before we do that, did we have any winners from the second coupon code? I hope so. Did you share with us? Okay. Maybe it got lost in the chat. I hope we can find you later. So for the third coupon code giveaway, again, get your Printify accounts out, find the reward center under the wallet, find the coupons, and the code to enter this time around is Collection Perfection. We were pretty close to a perfect collection here today. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, if you see that the coupon does not exist, you didn't win. Don't worry though, you still have one more chance to win and your typing speed will not matter, okay? If you did win, let us know in the chat so we can celebrate you. Okay.
We've got Allie Smith in the chat letting us know that they won. So congratulations, Allie Smith.
Shout out to Allie. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Big winners? All right. Let's move on then. So to wrap up today, we had a lot of information presented today, a lot of great information. But none of that really does anything until you take action. So I want you to take your learnings today and start slowly applying it to your workflow. How can you do that with what we presented today? First of all, start big, narrow down. Again, we chose from popular broad niches, which is great because there are tons of people in those markets, but narrow down your focus to a specific audience or a theme within that niche to not spread yourself too thin too fast. Also, don't overcomplicate the design process. You can create beautiful designs with simple tools like Canva, like Adobe Express. Start with just a few products, 2 or 3 is totally fine, and master those in your collection before expanding. And remember, when you are creating a collection, use consistent colors, consistent elements and graphics and fonts to really make it cohesive. And of course, you have to know your product. Take one design, preferably one that is already selling or is getting lots of visits to your shop, and adapt that for your next product, okay? Know what the product is made of, know the print technique, know is it a smaller print area, is it a larger print area, and be able to adapt that winning design to these new products. And last but not least, get inspired by trends and hop on those, but definitely add your own twist. Research what's popular on Etsy, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, and experiment with these different trends in your designs, in your niche, with your unique colors, with your unique text or personalization, and the elements that your audience already knows and loves. Now, speaking of inspiration, I do want to leave you with one final inspirational story about Simone Casarino. He turned a pandemic experiment into an almost $1 million business and is now living his dream digital nomad lifestyle. So again, goes to show that experimenting is important. You can see how far it'll take you. So Simone, he started with basic graphic design, very simple, and as he was learning, he started to provide his services on Fiverr and then also selling on Redbubble. Now, he was looking for more options, more control, so he eventually transitioned to Printify and Etsy. And he originally started by selling face masks, which at the time we know were quite a trendy product, but he used this trendy product as a launch pad to build a more sustainable business. He now focuses on selling t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, most of which are personalized, okay? So we know personalization is a huge power feature to include in your shop. Now, recently Simone was introduced to Printify Choice and he has not looked back. The first thing he noticed was the noticeably lower price of the products, but speed ultimately gave him the competitive edge and often shipped his products within 24 hours using Printify Choice. And we know that Etsy prefers shops with faster fulfillment times. So he had streamlined fulfillment, it boosted his overall efficiency as a seller, and of course, his customers were happier. And we know come Q4, that is especially important. So Simone's journey overall really goes to show that the impact of timing, strategy, and efficient tools like Printify Choice can really build your journey to success. Okay. One more time, I would like to plug Martin's Ask Me Anything sessions. They are free live Q&A sessions that happen twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays in Printify Sellers Club. We'll have a link in the chat. Again, totally free, but if you want to enjoy all the goodies that Printify Sellers Club has to offer, you can use the code LAUNCHPAD2025. You'll get a free month and full access to other mentors, live streams, courses, community questions, everything. So go ahead and check out Printify Sellers Club. And one more link for us to share in the chat with you. Go ahead and fill out the post-show survey. This is your final chance to win. And as I promised, you don't have to have super fast typing skills. Fill out the survey and we will choose 3 random winners to win $50 in Printify sales credit and an exclusive Clicks to Riches show t-shirt as you saw on the screen. All right, Talish, any final words of wisdom for our POD explorers?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and I want to shout out a few people who have been watching along. I just saw in the chat someone named Elena D got their first sale. Congratulations! It's a huge milestone. Good for you. Jackie Smith asked, "Is there a step-by-step guide to all of this?" Yes, there is. You can find it on our channel. We've got guides all over the place, but also our blog, our help center. These are incredible resources. We use them, I think, at Printify more than anybody else. So if this is sort of our POD Bible, it should be yours too. Definitely check out our blog. And also, I had one question in the chat that I saw where somebody said, "How do you do it so fast?" It takes time, it takes practice. And let me tell you, perfectionism is going to be your enemy. If you are going to learn design and give up because you didn't come up with that seamless pattern in the first go, that's not how you do things. It takes time. You know, it's like you got to learn 100 wrong ways to make something before you learn the right way to make it. So that speed will come with time. Right now, just focus on progress and process. And remember, if you want any more tips and tricks, this is where to come. See us again on the Clicks to Riches show.
I could not have said it better myself. Again, time, patience, and consistency. Those three things are ultimately going to get you making designs left and right super fast. And with that, I want to wish everybody a wonderful and productive rest of your day. See you next time.